Today, we're diving into a really dangerous situation that's unfolding right now in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. We're talking about a crisis that's escalating so fast, it's threatening to pull the entire Great Lakes region into a much, much bigger war.
Okay, so the epicenter of all this is the city of Uvira in South Kivu. Right now, it's practically emptying out. People are fleeing in a panic. Why? Because the M23 rebels, that's a really powerful armed group with a long, complicated history in the region, are advancing on the city. Kinshasa, the DRC's government, is adamant that Rwanda is backing them, and now some reports are saying the rebels have already breached the city's outer neighborhoods.
And the human cost of this, it's just staggering. In just a few days, more than 200,000 people have been forced to leave their homes. Think about that. This isn't some slow-moving crisis. It's a sudden, massive wave of displacement. A huge population is on the run, right now.
And make no mistake, this isn't a minor skirmish. We're talking about sophisticated modern warfare. There's heavy artillery fire, drone attacks, and brutal close-quarters combat. And the M23 rebels, they're not just probing, they're making major gains, capturing key towns like Luvungi that were supposed to be held by the Congolese army.
And of course, in the middle of all this are civilians. The United Nations has already confirmed that at least 74 have been killed. With the fighting still going on, everyone expects that number to go up. And the real tragedy? This wasn't supposed to happen. This violence was supposed to have been prevented.
See, this entire attack is happening less than a week after something called the Washington Accord was signed. That was a big diplomatic agreement, a deal that was supposed to bring a ceasefire. So what on earth went so wrong so fast?
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's shocking. Day 1, a peace deal is signed. Just 7 days later, it's completely ignored as a massive new offensive begins. The DRC's president, Felix Tshisekedi, is now out there, openly accusing Kigali of just shredding the deal. That promise of peace, it literally vanished in a week.
So why was the deal so weak? Well, according to an analyst named Christophe Rigaud, the whole thing had two fatal flaws from the get-go. First, and this is a big one, the M23 rebels, the main group actually doing the fighting, they weren't even invited to the negotiations. So they had no buy-in, zero reason to stop. And second, the agreement wasn't even binding. It was basically a handshake deal with no penalties if you broke it.
And this is where the geopolitics gets really interesting. Rigaud's argument is that the deal's architect, Donald Trump, seems way more focused on American economic interests in the region, we're talking resource deals, than on actually enforcing a difficult peace. The priority, as he puts it, was business first.
So this is no longer just a problem inside the DRC. The fighting is now threatening to spill right over its borders and pull its neighbors directly into the fight. The entire region is now on high alert. And you've got to look at the map to understand just how dangerous this is. The city of Uvira is only 30 kilometers away, that's less than 20 miles, from Bujumbura, which is the economic heart of neighboring Burundi. So for them, an M23 takeover of Uvira isn't some distant problem. It's an existential threat, right on their doorstep.
And this is where you see this strange contradiction from Burundi. Officially, their government says it's not involved in the conflict. But the reality on the ground? They've got an estimated 15,000 soldiers in there, fighting alongside the DRC army. They've already lost at least 20 soldiers, and now they're openly accusing Rwanda of having a bellicose attitude and even of bombing their border.
So that brings us to the big question. What happens if the rebels succeed? What if Uvira falls? Well, military analysts are looking at what they call a nightmare scenario, a domino effect that could set off a chain reaction of instability across all of Central Africa.
And here's how that chain reaction could play out. First, Uvira falls to the M23. Next, Burundi panics about its own security and pulls its 15,000 troops back home to defend its own border. This creates a huge security vacuum in the DRC, basically opening a highway for the M23 to push south towards the country's most important region, Grand Katanga.
So why is Grand Katanga such a big deal? Because it's everything. It is the economic engine of the entire country. We're talking about a region that produces a staggering 80% of the DRC's mining money. This is where the copper and cobalt that power our phones and electric cars come from. If you lose Katanga, you lose the Congo's entire economic future.
Which brings us all the way back to the international response, or maybe the lack of one. The current U.S. administration's approach seems pretty clear. Prioritize economic deals.
Because of that focus, there's been no real action on sanctions against Rwanda for allegedly backing the M23, and definitely no interest in any kind of military intervention to actually enforce the peace.
And so we're left with this really deeply unsettling question. You have a peace deal that's in pieces just days after being signed. You have world powers who seem more interested in resource deals than in stopping a war. Is the Great Lakes region just being left to fend for itself? Right now, that's a question nobody seems to have a good answer to.